Today in Grow a Garden in Roblox, we're going to do my newest pet value trading tier list in preparation for the new event that's about to drop tomorrow morning, the fall event. If this sounds interesting to you, go ahead and hit subscribe. Become part of the first 300k OGs on the channel. Let's get into the video. And what you're going to notice is that certain pets are missing. Now, there are 4 pets that are no longer on this list. I refer to them as the 4 horsemen of the game, and they are the panda, the gnome, the hamster, and the pack bee. People were trying to use my tier list as a means of offloading those pets to acquire better pets, and I'm no longer letting them do that. So if you want to acquire those pets, do your own research, but in terms of selling those pets and trading away those pets, don't bother. They have no demand. So they're no longer on my list. And speaking about my list, how do I word this? How do I word this without making people upset? Certain pets that were divine pets found inside of eggs are being decreased in value drastically because Checkle trading has been re-enabled. And I will warn you who those pets are when we get there. But I will use the dragonfly still as my means of value evaluation. The dragonfly has dropped 30% in its value. 30%. And many people believe it is because we all received a bunch of bug eggs in the admin mutation, the admin abuse in recent weeks. And that is a factor. I'm going to call it 20% of the factor. It is mostly because people with Checkle trading re-enabled are buying up the little bugs and then using seals to sell the little bugs and turn those little bugs back into bug eggs infinitely, forever, because raccoons continue to get shekels and shekels continue to get little bugs, and little bugs continue to get bug eggs, which continue to get dragonflies. Which is why everyone getting bug eggs is a small factor, because then they all got little bugs, which they sold for shekels to people who were farming them for seals. The existence of seals and koi is making divine pets found in eggs worth less and less as time goes on. Hence the dragonfly is still in the C tier, but it's worth 30% less than this time last week. Common huges are still B tier pets. The problem is nobody wants to trade for them. They're cosmetic only, and as such, they are rare, but the demand for them is very low. Do not try to trade and acquire huge common pets as a stepping stone to move up this value list, because it's just going to backfire on you. Cooked owls are still cooked, and I believe they are 2 cooked owls to a dragonfly right now. Yes, it is 2 cooked owls to a dragonfly. That is how far the dragonfly has fallen. The cooked owl hasn't changed. The dragonfly is down. However, the chicken zombie is 5 chicken zombies to a dragonfly. They were just overpopulated now when they gave us more of them after the admin war mutation event. The cockatrice is also a 5-to-1 dragonfly ratio. Nobody wants them. They have no useful effect. Kuropi Kitsune is 2-to-1 dragonfly, not because it's gone up, but the dragonfly has gone down. The French fry ferret is a 3-to-1 to the dragonfly. Unless you have a heavy French fry ferret or a heavy rainbow one, then they're in much more demand. The Pachycephalosaurus is a weird one. Everyone has realized that you can get double crafts with enough heavy Pachycephalosauruses. As such, it is up in the C tier significantly over the dragonfly now. And what has happened is very strange. Previously, people were buying up Pachycephalosauruses for shekels to sell them with seals on the field to get back dino eggs to hatch Spinosauruses. So as such, the supply of the Pachycephalosaurus has dwindled and dwindled and dwindled to a crazy low point. And now the demand for the Pachycephalosaurus has skyrocketed as people have realized, I like double crafts. That's kind of nice. So the dwindling supply with the increase in demand has put the Pachycephalosaurus significantly over the dragonfly in value, and it's really strange. And because the Spinosaurus, the other thing in its egg, is still so valuable, people are still selling Pachycephalosauruses to seals on the field to get more primal eggs, to get more Spinosauruses. So because of the low supply and because of the increased demand, I don't see the Pachycephalosaurus moving anytime soon. And many of you experienced traders might find this weird, but when you look at the numbers, it makes sense. They're still sold out on websites online. It's a strange world we live in, but this is the value, and I'm not going to change it. The Disco Bee has gone down in value a little bit, but not nearly as much as the others. It is roughly 7 dragonflies to the Disco Bee. Yeah, 7. The Griffin is down in the 3-to-1 to a dragonfly. 3 Griffins to a dragonfly. It's just not that useful or rare or valuable. Junk bots are also down in the 3-to-1 to a dragonfly. In fact, all of these brain rot guys are in the 3-to-1 range to a dragonfly. All of them. And even the lemon lion, even though lemon lion's probably got the best effect, it's still 3-to-1 to the dragonfly. Ascended pets are in the top of B tier, but they're low demand. They're super rare, but they're low demand. They have more demand than those other pets like the hamster and such, but it's still hard to trade them. Don't use ascended pets as a stepping stone. If you happen to mutate one, great, but they're super hard to remove. Bald eagles have a great effect, and you want 8 bald eagles or less, depending on the field, to hatch eggs. As such, they're useful. And I hate to say this, but they're super close to the dragonfly in terms of real world value online on websites because dragonflies are being hatched like crazy. Bald eagles have a limited supply. There may come a time where the dragonfly is worth less than things on the D tier, and it's really weird. Regular brontosauruses are high E tier. If you have heavy ones, if you have heavy rainbow ones, it changes the math, it changes the formula, but they're still useful. Butterflies are a high B tier pet. I value them over random huges. I value them way more than the Spino. It is now almost 4 dragonflies to the butterfly. Almost 4. It's crazy what's happened to the dragonfly tier. Now, the same thing is happening to the butterfly and the disco bee in the anti-bee egg. But the demand for these is still outdoing the supply, the increased supply. People are crafting anti-bee eggs with the Pachycephalosaurus doubling up on the anti-bee eggs. And then you have the usual seal koi shenaniganery with the anti-bee eggs. But because the butterfly rainbow effect is just so much better than the dragonfly gold effect, the demand for the butterfly is more than the demand for the dragonfly. Seals are in the 3-to-1 range for the dragonfly. However, if you have heavy seals or heavy rainbow seals, it changes the math. Koi are low D tier pets. Again, you need a certain weight and rainbow of koi to reach the 8% or the 7.25% you need per koi. The T-Rex has also dropped 30% from this time last week. It is equal to the dragonfly, which is why when people say, oh, we received a bunch of bug eggs and therefore that's why the dragonfly is down, that's not the whole story because we didn't receive a bunch of dino eggs, but the T-Rex has dropped as much because, again, you take shekels, you buy up dinos, you sell them with seals, you get more dino eggs, you hatch more dino eggs to try and get more T-Rexes over and over, endlessly for forever. And it's unfortunate, but any pet found in an egg because of the presence of seal and koi is just going to continue to go down in value until things get even. Picture this in your mind. You have scales, okay? You have a balancing beam, a seesaw, you have scales, okay? On the one side of the scales, you have all the common pets in that egg. On the other side of the scale, you have the divine pet in that egg. And for a while, things will be unbalanced, where the divine pet is worth so much more than all those combined little pets. But eventually, people will buy up with shekels, because we have infinite shekels because they're raccoons. People will buy up those little pets, sell them to the shop with seals, and therefore increase the supply of the expensive pet. And then things will balance, and things will balance, and things will balance until a weird sensation happens where all the little pets are getting close to the value of the expensive pet found in the egg. And then there will be equilibrium. We're seeing that now with pets like the Pachycephalosaurus approaching the Spinosaurus. The value difference between a Brontosaurus and a T-Rex is pretty close. So the Spinosaurus and the T-Rex will continue to come down in value as the other pets continue to go up in value because we keep removing them from circulation. And that is going to happen with almost every single divine pet in an egg. So store-bought pets as opposed to egg-bought pets will probably be more valuable down the road because they will have a fixed supply. And we'll talk about that later in the video. Raiju, bottom of D tier, store-bought pet, no more in circulation. It's maintaining its value. Fennec Fox, top of B tier, worth an ascended pet in value. I think I'd prefer the Fennec Fox over the ascended pet. I'd prefer the butterfly over either. But there's a dragonfly plus difference between the butterfly and the Fennec Fox right now. Blood owls, bottom of D tier, might drop further because there's a new, better blood owl in the game, and we'll get there. Lobster has great effects and is holding barely its value on the D tier. The red fox is now in the 3-to-1 range for the dragonfly. 3 dragonflies or 3 red foxes for a dragonfly. Not because the red fox has gone up in value, but the dragonfly has dropped that far in value. The queen bee is top of D tier, but check this out. The difference between the queen bee and the dragonfly is not even a cockatrice in value. That's how close they've become. Not because the queen bee has gone up, but the other ones, the dragonfly and the T-Rex, have come down. So this time next week, you might see a shift in the tiers because I'm going to have to change how things are balanced against each other. The mimic octopus is also right beside the dragonfly and the T-Rex in value on the C tier. They used to all 3 be up here. Now they're all 3 down here. Why? seals and koi. The paradise egg is an interesting case study because unlike the T-Rex egg or unlike the dragonfly egg, people care about the other pets in the paradise egg. In the paradise egg, you have the mimic octopus, the peacock, and the capybara. What do those three pets have in common? Huge and titanic versions of all three of those pets are very valuable. A huge capybara can go for like a red kitsune. A titanic capybara can go for like 2 or 3 red kitsune. A huge peacock can go for a kitsune. A titanic peacock, a 15-second peacock, can go for like 6 red kitsune. And then don't even get me started on the huge or titanic mimic octopus. So as such, people are all the methods using the shekels to buy the little pets, to sell for koi, to get more egg becks. That is being done like crazy for the paradise egg because huge and titanics of 3 out of the 5 in that egg are worth a ton. The only thing holding up the mimic octopus's value because the supply is increasing like crazy because that egg is farmed like crazy is the fact that mimic is so good and so useful, its demand is keeping up with supply barely. As such, it is decreasing alongside these 3, but it's being farmed heavier, but the demand is just better. We're almost at a world where these 3 pets are down here with the blood hedgehog and the queen bee in value, or the bald eagle. They're all close in value, and they're really close to these 3 up here. Blood kiwis, just a worse bald eagle. This golden goose is way down here in the, what was that, the 4-to-1? The 4-to-1 ratio to a dragonfly. Age 75 pets have no value unless you find someone in a public server that needs them. Always have some in your back pocket. The raccoon has dropped a good 10-15%. I'll put it in the A tier now, no longer in the S tier. The difference between a raccoon and a disco bee is basically a butterfly. Yeah, it's a butterfly in difference. It is 3-to-1 butterflies to a raccoon. That's pretty close. Raccoons are still useful. They're still great in value, but they're also being farmed using the seal koi method. The problem is it's a 0.1% hatch in the night egg, so it's hard to get them still. The red kitsune has gone down a little bit. It is 2 raccoons. What is that? It is 2 raccoons and a dragonfly or a T-Rex or a mimic to get at the kitsune. It's 2 raccoons plus a little bit of ads. Meta huges, if you know, you know. Do your own research when it comes to huges. Don't trust my words. You know what a meta huge is if you have one. And if you don't know, go onto Discords, go onto trading servers, go onto websites that offer pets for real life value and figure out what your huge is worth. The Phoenix is now officially a top of E tier pet. It just is. It's unfortunate. Pretty much any divine, if it's a 1% hatch in an egg divine, it's going to be an E tier pet unless it has a ridiculous effect. But the problem is, if it has a ridiculous effect, people will farm it even harder while the event is active. So egg hatch divines are almost all guaranteed to drop into the E tier now. Now, these 3 pets are super interesting. They're shop pets, so they have a limited supply, and they're hard to acquire in the shops. You have to, I reset some of these shops all the way up into the quintillions to have even one appear, and they all have kind of useful effects. As such, they're rare, but their demand varies. So be careful when trading for or trading away these pets. We don't know the demand right now. The luminous sprite has come down to the tier of the dragonflies. It seems to have fallen the most out of these 3 pets because it has a spray that also offers the effect. So the demand is kind of low. However, based off of the website I can find, the drake and the wisp have come into the butterfly range because of rarity and have stayed there because of demand. The drake can affect your cooking speed, which we don't know how useful that's going to be moving forward, but it does affect the cooking speed, and it's the only pet to do so. And the wisp is a strictly better blood owl. Equal weight, equal age, the wisp is 25% better than the blood owl in terms of XP per second. So it's just a better blood owl. And because it's a shop thing, the supply is going to be low and fixed, much like the blood owl. So hopefully people have farmed up enough of their wisp wells to get these wisps and use them. The necessity for wisp wells might keep its demand down. We'll have to wait and see. This is my tier list. This is my second time doing the tier list, actually, because I didn't have my mic on for the first time. Wonderful. If you're wondering where pets are on this list and why they're no longer on this list, I took 4 off, the 4 that had high value but low demand because nobody wants them. I'm not going to mislead people anymore. Also, the 3 really good pets, the mimic, the dragonfly, and the T-Rex are all 3 down 30% in value because of egg hatching methods. And in fact, everything found in an egg is slowly going down in value. On top of that, demand for pets is going down in value as the player base dwindles a little bit. So this is the current trading tier list. Hopefully it's useful to you. Hopefully it's valuable. If it is, comment down below and let me know. Let me know what you think. And if this was useful to you, go ahead and hit subscribe. Become part of the first 300K OGs on the channel. And as always, guys, thank you very much for watching.